Welcome to the deep dive. We take a bunch of sources, pull out the key info, and basically get you up to speed fast.
Yep, that's the idea.
Today, we're looking at artificial intelligence. It moves so quickly, right? So this is a quick summary, a snapshot of some recent big moves.
Exactly. We've got news articles covering, well, quite a range. Microsoft and OpenAI, Amazon's warehouse tech.
Uh-huh. And also the U.S. Copyright Office director getting fired, plus this call about superintelligence risks.
A real mix. Business, jobs, law, existential stuff.
Yeah.
All AI.
Okay, let's get into it. First up, Microsoft and OpenAI. Their partnership is, well, it's fundamental to a lot of what's happening in AI.
Absolutely. And Microsoft poured, was it $13 billion into OpenAI? A huge stake.
Right. So the news is they're apparently renegotiating things. OpenAI is reportedly looking to restructure.
Yeah, into a for-profit public benefit corporation, which is interesting because the original nonprofit board is meant to stay in control.
Okay. And Microsoft, as the major investor, they reportedly need to sign off on this.
That seems to be the case. It really highlights this tension you see sometimes. You've got the nimble AI labs and then the massive tech companies providing resources. Who calls the shots?
So what's the core negotiation about? Is it just the money, the equity?
That's definitely part of it, yeah. How much equity Microsoft gets in this new for-profit setup?
But there's more to it.
Well, reports also mention a broader contract renegotiation. Like, Microsoft might give up some current equity
Okay.
in exchange for access to OpenAI tech developed after 2030.
Wow, okay. That's thinking way ahead, a long game.
Definitely. And you have to see this against, the backdrop of their relationship becoming potentially more complex, maybe even competitive.
How so?
Well, OpenAI is building its own enterprise business, right? Selling directly to companies. And then there's talk of this massive Stargate infrastructure project.
Right, suggesting they want maybe more independence, bigger capabilities.
It points that way. So
Yeah.
it's not just a simple investor startup thing anymore. It's evolving.
So the key takeaway for you here is, even with massive investments, these AI partnerships are fluid. And these talks could really shape who controls the next wave of AI.
Precisely. It's as much about business strategy and negotiation as it is about the algorithms themselves. Really crucial to watch.
Okay. Let's shift gears then. Let's talk about AI's impact on jobs, specifically looking at Amazon. There's always this debate, right? AI takes jobs, AI creates jobs.
That's the perennial question. You hear people like Mark Andreessen being pretty skeptical about automation taking over everything. But then you have like the World Economic Forum predicting millions of roles displaced, sure, but even more new roles created, like 92 million gone, but 170 million new ones, net positive globally anyway.
So Amazon provides a concrete example here. They just announced a new robot, Vulcan, for their warehouses.
Yeah, and they're calling it a feeling robot, which sounds a bit sci-fi.
Huh, yeah. What does that mean practically?
It's designed for those really awkward tasks, reaching super high shelves, bending down low, ergonomically tough for humans.
Okay, so it takes over those specific tasks.
Some of them. But the interesting part is the human collaboration piece. Humans are still needed for, like, the middle shelves or items the robot struggles with. It's not full automation yet.
And they're retraining people.
That's the plan. Retraining some warehouse staff to become robot technicians. Which makes sense. You need people to maintain these things.
And they already use robots quite a bit, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They mentioned robots are involved in, like, 75% of customer orders now. And it has created new job types already, robotic floor monitors, maintenance engineers, stuff like that.
But this retraining, I mean, it's good, but it's unlikely to be a perfect one-to-one swap for any jobs lost, is it? The skills are different.
That's a very fair point. It raises big questions about the scale of the transition and, the skills gap, what kind of support is needed.
But it does paint a picture of the future, maybe. Humans supervising or maintaining automated systems.
Potentially, yeah. Across lots of industries, not just warehouses, you could see roles like automation monitor becoming more common.
Though we should probably remember, full automation isn't always straightforward. Didn't Amazon have issues with their Amazon Go cashierless stores?
They did. It shows there are often practical hurdles. So the takeaway here seems to be AI is changing work. It's displacing some tasks, yes, but also creating new related roles.
It's dynamic?
Exactly. It's about the nature of work changing and how we adapt.
Okay, so AI development, AI in the workplace. That naturally leads to legal questions. And a big one is copyright. There was some news recently involving the U.S. Copyright Office director.
Right. Shira Perlmutter. She was fired by President Trump.
And the timing seemed significant. It was right after her office released a report on AI and copyright.
It was, yeah. And Representative Joe Morell actually suggested a direct link. He implied it was because of her stance on using copyrighted material to train AI models. He even mentioned Elon Musk.
So this gets into that whole messy area of whether AI companies can just scrape the internet, scrape copyrighted books and art to train their models.
That's the core legal battleground. How do old copyright laws apply to this new technology? Perlmutter herself was actually appointed during the first Trump administration.
Oh, interesting. By the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden,
Yeah.
who is also reportedly fired recently.
That's the report, yes.
Yeah.
And President Trump also shared, or retruthed, a post online that seemed pretty critical of AI companies profiting from creators' copyrights.
So what did that Copyright Office report actually say before she was fired?
Well, it made a few key points. It suggested that using copyrighted stuff for, like, research and analysis might be okay under fair use.
Might be.
Right. But using huge amounts of copyrighted work commercially, especially if you got it illegally, to build an AI that competes with that original work, that probably goes beyond fair use.
Okay, that seems like a crucial distinction. Did the report call for immediate government action?
Not exactly. It called intervention premature. But it floated ideas like developing licensing markets, ways for AI companies to pay creators to use their work for training.
Licensing. Makes sense, like Stark Photos, but for AI training data.
Sort of, yeah. Or maybe something called extended collective licensing. But the bottom line is, it acknowledged the problem and suggested market-based or structured solutions might emerge.
And this is all happening while AI companies like OpenAI are facing lawsuits over this exact issue, right?
Correct. Multiple lawsuits alleging copyright infringement. And OpenAI, for its part, has argued for a copyright approach that favors AI development, leaning on fair use.
And then you throw Elon Musk into the mix, co-founder of OpenAI, founder of XAI. He's apparently supported getting rid of intellectual property law altogether.
He has made statements to that effect, yeah, which adds another radical dimension to the debate.
So the key takeaway on the copyright front is massive legal and ethical questions remain unanswered. And government actions, like firing the copyright head, could really sway how this plays out.
Absolutely. It's a high-stakes area with huge implications for both creators and the future of AI development itself. Very uncertain right now.
Okay, finally, let's touch on something that often feels a bit more out there. Superintelligence. AI systems way beyond human capability.
Right. This moves into the realm of existential risk. There's a growing concern and a call from people like AI safety campaigner Max Tegmark for companies to really assess the dangers.
How so? What's he suggesting?
He draws this interesting parallel to the first atomic bomb test, the Trinity test. He says AI companies need to do the kind of rigorous safety calculations that physicists did back then.
Calculations about what? The bomb accidentally igniting the atmosphere, that kind of thing?
Exactly that analogy. Physicist Arthur Compton ran those calculations. Tegmark applies it to AI. He personally estimates something like a 90% chance that artificial superintelligence, or ASI, could pose an existential threat.
90%. Wow, that's sobering. What's the specific worry? That it escapes our control.
That's the core idea. Tegmark talks about needing to calculate the Compton constant for AI, basically the probability that an all-powerful AI escapes human control or develops goals that aren't aligned with ours.
Like Skynet, but maybe more subtle.
Potentially, yeah.
Oh.
He points out, Compton calculated the odds of the bomb igniting the atmosphere were tiny, less than 1 in 3 million. He argues AI companies have a responsibility to calculate their equivalent risk, the AI Compton constant.
And the idea is if companies actually did this calculation rigorously and maybe reach some consensus.
It could build the political will needed for global AI safety regulations. Get everyone on the same page about the potential risks.
We have seen some movement on safety, haven't we? Like that Future of Life Institute letter calling for a pause on giant AI experiments.
Signed by Musk, Wozniak.
Yes, that open letter got a lot of attention. And there are ongoing efforts, like the Singapore Consensus Report, which involved experts from academia and big AI labs, outlining key research priorities for safety, things like measuring AI impact, specifying its behavior, keeping it under control.
And Tegmark is optimistic about international cooperation picking up again.
He seems hopeful, yeah, especially after recent summits on AI safety. Okay, so the final takeaway here is the potential dangers of really advanced AI are being taken very seriously now, and there's a real push for safety measures, risk calculation, and international collaboration.
Definitely. It's moved from sci-fi speculation to a serious topic of discussion and research in the field and among policymakers.
Right. So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've covered quite a bit in this short summary. The business side with Microsoft and OpenAI, how work's changing with Amazon's robots, the copyright battles, and these huge questions about long-term safety and superintelligence.
Yeah, it really shows how interconnected all these AI developments are. Business deals influence capabilities, capabilities impact jobs, development raises legal issues, and the ultimate potential raises safety concerns.
It really does. And that leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. When you consider all these interconnected pieces, the business, the jobs, the law, the potential risks, what fundamental shifts do you think might be needed in our society, in how we govern things, to navigate this incredibly fast-moving world of AI responsibly and ethically?
Hmm, that's a big question. Something definitely worth thinking about as all this continues to unfold.